Nestle. Let's get further into details with regard to this story, which is the big one of the day. Focusing on Nestle now, the shareholders have rejected the increase in royalty. Manglam joins us on the phone line to fill us in with some analysis. Manglam, tell us more.
Good morning. So, it's a positive on two accounts. The first part is that there were always worries that Nestle will go ahead and increase the royalty as it came for renegotiation last year. And that's exactly what the board proposed, that 4.5% royalty increases to 5.25% over the next 5 years, in effect, increasing the royalty per year by about 15 basis points. That the street was okay with, but the fact that the shareholders have rejected it right now is a positive, because going forward, the margin triggers of the company seem limited. We've been talking about how coffee prices and cocoa prices have seen a big inflation. Dairy also, while has come off highs, is now beginning to tighten once again. So in light of the margin triggers being limited, this, was an additional impact on their margins itself. But now that has come about and the shareholders have rejected it, that's a positive, because at least there won't be that incremental pressure of 15 basis points every year for the next 5 years. The second part is that now this has happened, it takes away some concerns for the future as well, because now going forward, if the company were to look at increasing their royalty from current levels, they would have to reconsider, because the previous time, shareholders had rejected it. So that takes away some of the fears of the future as well. In terms of quantum, it's no more than 15 basis points. But in terms of the impact that it has on one, shareholder activism, and the way the company looks at increasing royalty going forward is a big positive. And that's exactly what's reflecting in the share price itself.
Okay, all right, got that, Manglam. Thanks very much for that perspective. In fact, we did, discuss this whole royalty issue in our last conversation with Mr. Suresh Narayanan, the chairman and managing director of Nestle. So this did come up in conversation. Let's see what stance he took on the matter in this last conversation.
What we would say, the ask is fundamentally 15 basis points each year for 5 years. And certainly the margin evolution of the new categories that we are adding and what we are capable of doing in our existing categories is more than that. So therefore, it is for the help and support. I mean, for example, in health sciences, we need support now. It's not going to be a unidimensional street of just a joint venture. There will be support from the group on that. Nespresso will be a strong support from the group in order to make it happen. Pet care will be a strong support from the group to make it happen. So all of this will come in with the heft of the parent in terms of technology and competence and infrastructure. And for that, I think the royalty increase that is being looked at is relatively modest.
Okay. Well, Mr. Narayanan, your shareholders don't seem to think so. That was, of course, I would have caught the date key. That conversation took place on the 30th of April, where Mr. Narayanan was sort of justifying why perhaps this royalty increase is warranted, but shareholders have voted. They are not in agreement. Let's take this forward with, some experts on the FMCG space. We have Kaustav Pavaskar of Sharekhan, as well as Abneesh Roy joining in from Nuvama. Gentlemen, good morning. Thanks so much for taking this call and being with us on this working Saturday. Abneesh, your thoughts? It's a very emphatic sort of statement that's coming from Nestle shareholders. What are your views? How would you look at it?
Yeah, clearly it's a positive development. We have a buy on Nestle with a target price of 3010. So there were investor concern on 2-3 things. One is, of course, this year, coffee and cocoa cost is highly inflationary. And on top of that, the 15 bips every year for the next 5 years was a genuine concern. And 4.5% is not a small number, if you see. So I think this shows clearly that shareholder activism is alive in India. In terms of growth matrix, if you see, even last quarter, Nestle was top quartile with 8% revenue growth and 12.5% EBITDA growth. Strong performance across most of the parameters. So I would say that this addresses concern, but we need to see if there is a revised proposal from the Nestle board. We need to see. This is something which we would await for more clarity. Second is investors will have questions because the Nestle parent did not get the higher royalty. Will there be any change in terms of their support to the Indian business in terms of products and R&D support, etc., innovation? We don't think so. India is easily the most important consumer market for any multinational company with the kind of growth, with the hockey stick curve in terms of per capita income, and already Nestle is charging 4.5%. So I don't think any multinational operates that the royalty hike has not been approved, so cut down on India exposure. No, we don't think so. So we'll await for more clarity on the revised proposal, but clearly a positive. Now, last point will be essentially on what Mangalam mentioned on the raw material. Frankly speaking, with a good monsoon of 6% plus normal expected this year, we would expect that a lot of the raw material for Nestle could cool off after Q2. So especially dairy and wheat, etc., the crop seems to be better for wheat versus last year. So we are not unduly concerned on Nestle margins, but coffee and cocoa, there is a pricing power also. So net-net, this is a positive development, and I think the stock should do well from here on. One more thing monitorable will be the FSSAI on the issue of the NAN and the infant food. Again, we don't see any big concern there. I think regulations will get changed gradually for the industry. Nestle meets all the guidelines in India, in our view, in terms of quality and process.
All right. Hi, Abneesh. Good to see you in. What is the target price you had given us?
3010. It's a buy for us. We are quite positive. Yes.
Oh, all right. And will you be tweaking it a little bit because now they will not be paying as high royalty?
So yes, you are absolutely right. Slight tweaking could be needed. It's a small number, 15 bips. I think more than the number, I think directionally from a overall corporate governance and from a minority shareholder protection, it is positive. But as I said, we need to see if there is any revised proposal from the board later, which will get clarity later. So short-term positive, but we'll await more clarity on the revised proposal, if any.
And I like the way you put it, right? India is a too attractive market for anyone to avoid just because, the royalty hike doesn't go through. Thanks a lot, Abneesh, for joining in and filling us in with that. Well, Kaustubh as well is with us. Hi, Kaustubh. Good morning. And thanks a lot for joining in. Well, how do you read this piece of news and what are the adjustments that you would be making?
Yeah, this is positive. See, three issues were lingering around the Nestle or hovering around the Nestle. One was the increase in the commodity prices. Second, the issue related to the infant food and also this royalty increase, because it is a 4.5% at the end of the increase which was over the period of next 5 years. So obviously for the shareholders that in the current environment when commodity prices were going up, the demand environment was not as great. Though Nestle was doing exceptionally well in terms of the growth and in terms of EBITDA growth, overall demand environment in India was not that great. So I think it is directionally positive for Nestle, and I think stock should perform well from here. Still, there are certain issues which should have more clarities in the coming months. But obviously, this is directionally positive for Nestle. And 15 bips kind of impact. Obviously, not much on the earnings this thing, but it is positive for the company.
Okay, got that. Kaustubh, what's your price target on the stock right now?
See, we have a hold rating on the stock, and we have a price target of 2,850. But we believe that if the commodity prices stabilizes from current level and if there is a margin uptick from current levels, and if company continues to perform well in its domestic business, I think there would be re-rating triggers in the near future.
All right, gentlemen, appreciate you joining in. Thanks a lot for filling us in on a quick analysis on that front. So no two ways about it. It's a relief coming in for shareholders and they'll take it positively. However, we need to wait to see whether or not there's a revised proposal that comes in from the parent. Let's focus on another stock, JSW Steel. They came out